अगर आपको मौका मिले 5 से 7 साल या फिर 8 साल पहले वाले, जब उज्जवल भारद्वाज लॉ स्कूल में थे, जब उज्जवल भारद्वाज नए नए इस प्रोफेशन में घुसने वाले थे, अगर उस उज्जवल भारद्वाज से मिलने का आज के उज्जवल भारद्वाज को मौका मिले, तो आज का उज्जवल भारद्वाज पहले वाले उज्जवल भारद्वाज से क्या कहेगा?
पहले जब लॉ स्कूल में था तो मुझे उतना अच्छा तो पता नहीं था कैसे आंसर राइटिंग होता है। तो उसमें मैं बहुत ब्लैक होता था। मेरा ये था कि भाई अगर सीपीसी का पेपर है तो मुल्ला सबसे अच्छी कमेंट्री आती है वो पढ़ लो। लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है, अगर मैं पूरी बुक पढ़ने लगूँ तो मैं शायद लॉ स्कूल में पास भी नहीं हो सकता हूँ। तो उसके लिए एक तरीका होता है कि आपको क्या क्रक्स है क्या है वो आपको पता होना चाहिए, कैसे आपको वहां से पुल आउट करना है। तो लॉ स्कूल में या फिर आप लॉ प्रोफेशन में सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है कि बहुत सारा चीज है, उसमें से क्या आपके लिए रेलिवेंट है वो निकालना है। तो वो मैं वहां पे पहले लैक किया हुआ था, तो अब
हम्म।
मैं उस चीज को ठीक करने वहां पे ठीक करने की कोशिश करूंगा। या इनिशियल डेज में भी मैं बहुत ज्यादा बुकिश हो जाता था।
ओके। उससे कुछ
तो
नेगेटिव
ज्यादा
भी हुआ या फिर
नो
उससे?
नहीं, नॉलेज तो अल्टीमेटली बढ़ता है, लेकिन आप पार्टिकुलर उस डेट के लिए अच्छे से परफॉर्म नहीं कर पाते।
ओके।
अब मुझे पूरा जजमेंट कोई है 200 पेज का, अब मैं पूरा उसी एक ही जजमेंट को 200 पेज पूरा पढ़ने लगूँ तो पॉसिबल नहीं है कि मैं कर पाऊँ। तो उसको थोड़ा सा, अब जो एक्सपीरियंस है मेरे, कहाँ से पढ़ना है, ऑपरेटिव पार्ट क्या है, इसका क्या रेशियो है, ये कहाँ पे मिल जाएगा।
हम्म।
स्टार्टिंग में अपना जो फैक्ट्स होता है, उसके बाद इशू होता है, इशू के बाद हर इशू का दोनों पार्टी का आर्गुमेंट होता है। तो वो सब थोड़ा करके जब कोर्ट का क्या ऑब्जर्वेशन है वहां से मैं अब पढ़ने की कोशिश करता हूँ।
ओके।
और पार्टिकुलर वही पैराग्राफ हाईलाइट करके कोर्ट में
हम्म।
प्रेजेंट करना होता है। तो स्टार्टिंग में ये सब दिक्कत था मेरे साथ, जो विद द टाइम सब चीजें ओवरकम हो रहा है।
तो उस चीज को आप, अगर आप आज आपको मौका मिलता तो वो आप रेक्टिफाई करना चाहते?
हाँ हाँ, वो मैं पूरा जजमेंट जो मैं पूरा 200 पेज पढ़ता था, फैक्ट पढ़ता था, वो सब नहीं करूंगा।
Looking back at your law school,
Yeah.
what's one thing that you have learned outside the classroom that changed your journey?
Okay. So, very fundamentally speaking, looking back at my law school, I'll approach the question in an albeit roundabout manner.
Mhm.
Almost nothing I have learned inside the classroom is really very important in my world today. Whatever I apply in my current day profession, almost everything was learned outside the classroom. So I will just settle for one example because there cannot be that one word, or I cannot really shortlist that one particular aspect that I learned. But one very important thing I learned in law school was networking. Most
Okay.
of the other things I learned in my profession, but I learned the value of networking during my law school, something that is not taught in the books. As I say, that law is often treated as a very conventional subject, but there are a lot of unexplored, unconventional areas in the subject.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's the trust that matters. I
Mm.
understand knowledge is very important, but then again, let's say I am very knowledgeable. I know I am very knowledgeable, but who else knows that? Ultimately, others need to know that I am knowledgeable just to
Mhm.
make sure that they come to me. So that happens to trust, because the person who is assuming that I am knowledgeable, that person is not knowledgeable. So we are basically judged by people who do not have the capability to judge us. Now that is where networking comes along. You have to present your trustability in such a manner where you tell that you are learned and people fathom that you are learned. And that is where trust and networking comes along. And that is something I learned outside the classrooms of law school, maybe inside the union room, maybe around the premises, maybe while dating with girls, a lot of ways. But yeah, that's very
So,
well.
Pradeep, how was the early years of your litigation and practice? Anything
Okay.
you want to give, like?
So the early years of my litigation, they were filled with confusion.
Okay.
I was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So the first time I entered law, like it's the first time I entered the courtroom, it was in Calcutta High Court as an intern. So I was basically loitering around a huge building,
Mhm.
feeling like I was the most useless and most insignificant creature that existed inside the building.
Okay.
Because I had gone from law college, I didn't have a brief or anything to do exactly. So I
Mm.
was just tailing the senior with whom I was doing an internship.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the senior was nice and everything was nice. But then again, the biggest problem that I faced in the early years. So
Mm-hmm.
when, like I just told in the previous questions of my interview that I had been a very mediocre student prior to pursuing law,
Mm-hmm.
but I had always found a way to get my job done without going into the rigors that most people do.
Okay.
So that happened for school, that happened for law college. And
Mm-hmm.
for the first time I went to court, I was again looking for shortcuts. I'm a person who has always absolutely loved shortcuts. I've always absolutely loved finding a way to do things without putting in the effort that other people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I am very good at that. But
Okay.
then again, I was totally clueless as to how I can amass the secrets of this big building.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many people bustling around, so many people, but it was the entire picture was totally unintelligible to me.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly how were they getting matters, how were the matters being filed, how were the matters being heard. So I didn't know anything. Basically, it's like just diving into a new world.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it was exciting. I wouldn't say it was exciting. It was initially the very preliminary days were initially very boring, very monotonous for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell that for any particular viewer who is planning to come into litigation, that please be prepared for a certain period of boredom. Don't think it is a sweet picture from day one. I won't portray that. But then again, the initial days, like initial days is a very vague word, so how long you are looking at. But when the first 3 or 4 months passed, that
Mm-hmm.
is when things started getting exciting. The first 3 or 4 months, it is just like you have to be present there just to understand what is happening. And this particular phase of understanding is a very, very passive phase. There is no such direct input being fed to you. We are not computers that every day we are getting in data. So
Yep.
the data just seeps in from the ambience that we are in. I understand that period was very boring. I understand that I won't want to go through that period again given a choice. But I also understand that particular period was very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like sometime around maybe the around 6th month of my legal practice, I found out that I knew a lot of things. I knew how to get certain matters done. I knew how to get certain documents filed without even ever being actively taught about it.
Mm-hmm.
So my experience in litigation, my opening experience into litigation is how just being in a place, just surviving within those four walls can infuse you with a kind of knowledge that is otherwise very rarely available. I was not taught about that in law school. I was not taught about that in corporate law firms. That is the first place I got to know.
What a mistake that taught you something crucial in life or in legal field. Anything you want to share?
Okay. So I think
Yeah.
one of the very big mistakes that I made early on in my life
Mm-hmm.
was trying to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
Like there is a very common quote that you are not an ice cream seller or a fuchka vendor. You cannot make everyone happy. So I think the demands that a society, in as per my opinion, it includes everyone, starting from family, good friends, seniors, clients, everyone. It depends on the leverage that we give them. It depends on the latitude that we give them.
Yes.
So initially, I was so eager to please everyone that I ended up giving everyone too much latitude. And that much of latitude was something that I couldn't handle in the longer run. So I started off as a lawyer who did not know anything. I did not have a brand. I did not have my clientele. I did not have money. So I realized that the only thing that I could sell was time.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold every moment I had. So whenever anyone wanted me to be there, be it a senior, be it another law firm, be it a client, I started being there, being everywhere for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that initially gain me some leverage. I
Mm-hmm.
got some recognition when others might not have because I was there when no one else was there. Amidst the off days of puja vacation,
Mm-hmm.
every time I was there. But then after I started getting some work, I think that it is not a bad idea to start by being everywhere. But I think it is very important to know when to quit. So I started being everywhere for everyone at a very early stage. That is what got me recognition. That is what got me connection. But I ended up dragging it a bit too long. I would suggest for someone new entering into the industry that for the first 2 months or maybe at most 3 months, slog like an animal. Be everywhere. Don't give a damn about your health. Don't give a damn about your family. Forget everything and work. But I think that needs to at most of 4 to 5 months for a slower person. For a fast person, that should not go on for more than 2 months. I kept on doing it until I was so shattered that I could not do it any longer. I think that there is a very famous quote that the fundamental difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is that successful people prioritize important things.
Hmm.
Unsuccessful people prioritize urgent things.
Yeah.
And a person who is everywhere all the time, he's only doing urgent things. What are
Hmm.
the important things that we miss? Our health, our family. Now, if I'm always rushing to someone else's rescue, then I do not have the time to sit and think.
Yeah.
If I cannot sit and think, then I do not have any long-term planning.
Yep.
I am only doing thing whenever I get a phone call, I rush there. So I have no planning, no long-term goals, no structure, no organization, nothing. I am just rushing wherever, and that is something that a person can do only in the stage of labor. If I am destined to be a clerk all my life, then okay, I can make some money by rushing everywhere. But
Hmm.
if I'm supposed to achieve something that is supposed to be organizational, that is supposed to be planned, then you need to sit down and think. I
Yeah.
think that success lies in the perfect balance between. I think most people lack that balance. I'm not saying that I am sitting on the perfect balance, but then again, I'm trying to achieve the perfect balance.
Hmm.
I think people lack that balance. Some contemplate too much and never execute, and some keep on executing, but they don't take the time to sit down and contemplate.
Yeah.
Like, just you can think for yourself, Saurabh, what would happen if you planned, how long did you plan while opening this first brief? Maybe just take an idea, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is.
Hmm.
What do you think you would achieve if you kept on planning about opening this first brief for a period of like thinking that I'll open a YouTube channel where all the big lawyers will feature and this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do. Okay, first year is gone, I'm still planning. Okay, I'll put this there. This is not perfect, so I'll change it into something else. And then 10 years down the line, you're still planning, you are not doing anything.
Hmm.
So I think that would have been an utter debacle. Like basically nothing would ever have featured.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, if you didn't put the perfect amount of planning into getting the right lawyers, into getting the right viewers, into getting the right background, getting the right bio, getting your right set of questions, then again this would have been a very unprepared venture. So
Yep.
that is where the balance hangs. It is a perfect balance between the planning and the execution.
Hmm.
I think that the biggest mistake I did was I did not take any time to do planning. I was so eager to rush into things because basically society teaches us to go into the rat race. And
Yep.
the rat race teaches us कि अगर like आगे नहीं भागोगे तो दुनिया कुचल के चला जाएगा like the three idiots quote.
भागना ही
So
सिखाती
we
है।
are, yeah,
रैट रेस भागना ही सिखाती है, लेकिन भाग के
exactly. So rat race भागना ही
ऊपर
सिखाती
जाना
है.
है वो नहीं
So
सिखाती।
since exactly. So since I was racing, I didn't stop to think how far I had gone, how far I really wanted to go. And at a certain point, I would realize that I have already crossed the path where I was meant to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to start from Dalhousie to Park Circus. I have raced till Science City and realized, okay, now I have to race back to Park Circus.
Yeah.
So this is where I was going. I wasted a lot of time. I overthink is very important. That definitely you should toil, but you should toil within balance. Otherwise, there is a sweet spot for everything, the perfect balance, and that is what you should try to achieve.
ये लॉ की जर्नी आपकी कैसे स्टार्ट हुई? प्रोफेसर बनने का प्लान पहले से ही था या फिर कहानी पहले कुछ और थी?
तो सही, मैं तो ऐसा नहीं बोल सकता कि मुझे बचपन से ही मन था लॉ के फील्ड में आने का। मुझे
हम्म।
लॉ ज्वाइन करने के लिए मेरे एक फ्रेंड ने एनकरेज किया।
ओके।
वो मुझसे 1 साल सीनियर था मेरे कॉलेज में, अभी वो हाई कोर्ट में अच्छे से प्रैक्टिस भी कर रहा है।
हम्म।
तो उसने ही मुझे सुझाव दिया, सजेस्ट किया कि मैं लॉ ज्वाइन करूँ।
हम्म।
फिर ज्वाइन करने के बाद बीइंग फर्स्ट जनरेशन लॉयर्स, मेरे भी वही स्ट्रगल्स थे जो सबके थे।
हम्म।
आप जैसे कुछ मित्र मिले, साथ में हम लोग उस समय प्रैक्टिस किया। करते करते ही फिर मुझे वकील बाबू बन गए थे, लेकिन मुझे अभी भी स्टूडेंट रहना था, मेरे अंदर वो एक इच्छा थी। तो मैंने
हम्म।
मास्टर्स में ज्वाइन किया।
ओके।
मास्टर्स में ज्वाइन करने के बाद मास्टर्स के फाइनल सेमेस्टर में होता है कि आपको एक क्लास लेनी पड़ती है एज
हम्म।
पार्ट ऑफ योर टीचिंग
एकेडमिक्स।
असाइनमेंट,
या।
एकेडमिक्स। उसमें
हम्म।
कुछ मार्क्स होते हैं, तो आपको कुछ क्लास
हम्म।
लेनी पड़ती है।
हम्म।
एक दो लेक्चर या एक दो टॉपिक ही कवर करने पड़ते हैं, बट एक मौका मिलता है सबको।
मौका मिलता है।
तो उस समय मुझे भी मौका मिला। तो उस समय मैं भी बहुत नर्वस था, कंफ्यूज था, डर रहा था कि
हम्म।
क्या मैं ठीक से कम्युनिकेट कर पाऊंगा, क्या मैं अपनी बात समझा पाऊंगा। कोई कुछ
यस।
सवाल पूछ ले जिसका मुझे आंसर नहीं पता है तो मैं क्या करूंगा। सब
हम्म।
ख्याल आ रहे थे, लेकिन क्योंकि करना था वो तो कर रहे थे।
कर रहे।
तो वही क्लास लेते लेते मुझे किसी ने कुछ सवाल पूछा, मैंने उसका जवाब दिया। तो मुझे एक बार के लिए रियलाइज हुआ कि शायद मैंने इसका डाउट क्लियर किया।
क्लियर किया। हम्म
मैं सक्षम हो पाया हूँ उसे कुछ समझाने में।
हम्म
मुझे तब तब शायद मेरे मन में इच्छा आई कि मैं एकेडमिक्स भी ज्वाइन कर सकता हूँ।
हम्म
और उसके बाद जो प्रोफेसर्स थे उन्होंने रास्ता दिखाया, सजेस्ट
हम्म
किया कि हाँ पीएचडी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, एकेडमिक्स में आ सकते हैं।
हम्म
तो उनके इनकरेजमेंट से आज मैं हूँ एकेडमिक्स में।
शुरुआत में सबको कोई भी चीज स्टार्ट करने में जनरली नर्वसनेस तो आ ही जाती है, कुछ भी चीज अगर कोई स्टार्ट करता है जब तो। मुझसे मुझसे फर्स्ट एपिसोड के क्वेश्चन सही से नहीं बोले जा रहे थे हमने। तो अब चलिए ये शुरू करते हैं, नेक्स्ट अपना दूसरा क्वेश्चन पे आते हैं। पीएचडी करने का डिसीजन आपने कैसे लिया, और कैसे मैनेज कर रहे हैं आप टीचिंग और रिसर्च दोनों, बिकॉज ये दोनों ही बहुत ही रिस्पॉन्सिबल और बहुत ही मेरे हिसाब से बहुत ही हेक्टिक वर्क्स है।
ये बात तो आपकी सही है, बट जैसे मैंने कहा कि पीएचडी करने का एनकरेजमेंट मुझे मेरे प्रोफेसर्स ने दिया था जो मास्टर्स में थे।
हम्म
उन्होंने ही सुझाव दिया, उन्होंने ही मुझे गाइड किया। कई एंट्रेंस एग्जाम्स दिए मैंने, फिर मुझे एडमिशन मिली।
हम्म
तो बेसिकली मैं पीएचडी रिसर्च स्कॉलर फुल टाइम था, 4 साल मैंने कंटिन्यूअसली सिर्फ पीएचडी ही की है। तो
ओके।
उस समय टीचर्स ने, प्रोफेसर्स ने मुझे गाइड किया कि अभी जो मौका है रिसर्च करने का, अभी मैं जो रिसर्च कर रहा हूँ
हम्म
आगे इसके इसको इंसेंटिवाइज कर पाऊंगा, इसके फ्रूट्स मुझे मिलेंगे
हम्म
आगे चल के, क्योंकि अभी
हम्म
मेरे पास टाइम है, मैं फुल टाइम रिसर्चर हूँ।
ओके।
तो मैं पूरा टाइम रिसर्च में डेडिकेट कर पा रहा हूँ। एज सुन एज आई
हम्म
कम इनटू टीचिंग, रिसर्च भी
हम्म
उतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट रहता है हमारे लिए,
पार्ट।
बट टीचिंग ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है। ऑब्वियसली जब जिम्मेदारी आ जाती है कुछ बच्चों की,
हम्म
किसी को कुछ पढ़ाना है, सिखाने की कोशिश करनी है,
हम्म
तो रिसर्च उतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट रहेगा, बट हम लोग उतना टाइम डिवोट नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो जब
ओके।
तक पीएचडी में फुल टाइम रिसर्च स्कॉलर था तब तक मैंने रिसर्च की, रिसर्च सीखा,
हम्म।
रिसर्च में इन्वेस्ट किया। और
यस।
अभी भी उस समय जो हैबिट्स बिल्ड किए हैं, तो अभी भी उन्हीं हैबिट्स को कभी कभी
आगे बढ़ना।
फॉलो करके रिसर्च
यस।
कंटिन्यू
करते
कर
रहना है।
सकते हैं।
ओके। बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है जो आप लोगों को बता रहे हैं, एंड जितने भी नए लोग हमसे जुड़ेंगे या फिर जो जुड़े हैं उनको जरूर ही ये सब चीजें बहुत ही फायदे करेंगी, ऐसा मुझे तो हमेशा से लगा। चलिए, तो अब चलते हैं आपके रिसर्च टॉपिक्स पर। कुछ क्वेश्चंस मैंने उससे भी जोड़े हैं इस इंटरव्यू में, बिकॉज वो भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो थर्ड क्वेश्चन ये है कि योर रिसर्च इज ऑन ब्लॉकचेन एंड डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म्स, राइट? आपको क्या लगता है आज के लॉ स्टूडेंट्स को इन एरियाज में इंटरेस्ट होना चाहिए?
एक शब्द में आंसर करे तो हाँ, होना चाहिए। और क्योंकि मैं स्टूडेंट्स को देखता हूँ तो मुझे कहीं ना
हम्म
कहीं लगता है कि एक समय था जब हम लोग टेक्नोलॉजी से, मतलब टेक्नोलॉजी जो लेटेस्ट है हम लोग उससे फेमिलियर है। हम
हम्म
अप- अपने सीनियर्स को, अपने पेरेंट्स को हम जाके सिखाते थे कि अरे ऐसे नहीं, ऐसे होता
हाँ।
है, ये नहीं, ये
यस।
करना है। तो
यस।
अभी भी टीचर मैं देख रहा हूँ कि टेक्नोलॉजी इस गति से बढ़ रही है कि हमारे स्टूडेंट्स ही हमें सिखा रहे हैं कि सर ऐसे नहीं, ऐसे होता है,
आज भी
ये
वही
नहीं,
फॉलो
ये
हो रहा है,
होता है।
पहले हम लोग करते
हाँ,
थे, आज के स्टूडेंट्स हमें सिखा रहे
हाँ, तो ये
हैं।
चीज चले आ रहा है, तो उनके लिए
हम्म
जरूरी है। शायद कितना जरूरी है वो रियलाइज नहीं करते, बट वो लोग
हम्म
उतना टेक सेवी है अभी टेक्नोलॉजी से।
ओके।
मुझे तो कई बार लगता है कि हम लोग से ज्यादा ही फेमिलियर और कंफर्टेबल है वो।
टेक सेवी हैं वो। ओके। चलिए फिर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे आगे बढ़े। देयर इज हमें ये जानना है आपके एक्सपीरियंस से कि लॉयर्स को टेक समझना आज के समय पे कितना जरूरी है।
बहुत जरूरी है। और इंडियन जुडिशरी टेक्नोलॉजी को बहुत एम्ब्रेस भी करती है। हमारे जो 58 चीफ जस्टिस थे, डॉक्टर डीवाई चंद्रचूड़,
हम्म
उन्होंने इस पे बहुत बात की है, उन्होंने बहुत एनकरेज किया है। और
यस।
उनके टेन्योर में डिजिटलाइजेशन जुडिशियल
हम्म
सर्विसेज का, जुडिशियल रिकॉर्ड्स का
हम्म
बहुत ही अच्छे से हुआ है। तो
ओके।
इंडियन जुडिशरी, अभी जो लोग न्यू बडिंग लॉयर्स है, जो लोग फील्ड में न्यू है या
हम्म
आएंगे, लोग
हम्म
देखेंगे कि टेक्नोलॉजी बहुत अच्छे से इंटीग्रेट हो गई है।
ओके।
हमारे जुडिशरी में, लीगल फील्ड में। तो बहुत ही एक इम्पोर्टेंट स्टेप है, एक इनएविटेबल पार्ट है, तब आज निकल होना ही है,
हम्म।
और हो रही है ये। हम
हम्म।
लोग शायद रियलाइज नहीं करें, या हम लोग
हम्म।
बिहाइंड द सीन्स क्या हो रहा है, किस एक्सटेंट तक हो रहा है,
हम्म।
हर बार सही से समझ नहीं पाते, बट हम लोग उसका फ्रूट्स जरूर पाते हैं।
लाइक कभी आपके लाइफ में या फिर इस कैरियर में आपको कभी ये डाउट हुआ कैरियर को लेकर, और ऐसा कभी मन किया कि इसको आप छोड़ देते हैं?
ये बहुत बार ही हुआ है,
हम्म।
बहुत रिसेंटली भी हुआ है। और
अच्छा।
अभी मैं अपने आप को ये समझाने की कोशिश करता हूँ, और जो लोग देख रहे हैं उन्हें भी बताने की कोशिश करूंगा कि ये
हम्म।
दिस इज साइन ऑफ सेल्फ ग्रोथ। अगर आप ग्रो करना चाहते हैं, आप इम्प्रूव करना चाहते हैं, तो ये सब
हम्म।
डाउट्स ना नेचुरल है। इट इज अ साइन कि आप ग्रो करना चाह रहे हैं, बेहतर करना चाह रहे हैं। तो
हम्म।
हाँ, इससे ख्याल आते हैं। और
हम्म।
मुझे नहीं लगता है कि समय के साथ या एक्सपीरियंस के साथ से ख्याल आने बंद हो जाते हैं। वो
हम्म।
मुझे अभी मेरा बिलीफ है कि समय के साथ हम लोग इससे बेटर डील करना सीख जाते हैं।
सीख जाते हैं।
ऐसे ख्याल नहीं आएंगे ऐसा मुझे नहीं लगता।
कंफ्लिक्ट होना भी जरूरी है। माइंड के साथ आपका ये कंफ्लिक्ट भी आपको आपके ग्रोथ की तरफ ही दिखाता है कि यू आर ग्रोइंग नाउ। अगर कंफ्लिक्ट खत्म
हाँ।
हो जाएंगे तो पीपल विल स्टॉप evolving with the situations, or how to get that experience to how to deal with situations in a better way than before, right? तो चलिए।
एग्जैक्टली। तो
बताइए बताइए।
मैं बोल रहा था कि मैंने कहीं पढ़ा था कि जिंदगी
हम्म।
बीत जाती है जिंदगी समझने को। तो
ओके। यस।
यही है।
Let's start it from the beginning. What inspired you to choose law as a career?
Well, to answer this, I would like to say that I am an accidental lawyer.
Okay,
Okay.
that's a new word we
So,
heard of.
yes, I'm an accidental lawyer. I
Okay,
initially had no plan of joining here because no
okay,
one in my family is from this background. My father is
okay.
a civil engineer.
Mm-hmm.
My parents and mother is a homemaker, and none of them, all are from engineering background or normal general background.
Okay.
So, in fact, none from last 2 3 generations are in law. So I am
Mm-hmm.
considered to be a chain breaker of the family. So
Mm-hmm.
what happened is that my mom initially wanted to me to get into medical, but that by destiny didn't happen. So one
Mm-hmm.
day she saw an advertisement of Calcutta University
Mm-hmm.
entrance, and she asked me to fill it out, give it a try. At least you'll
Okay.
be getting in a good college.
Mm-hmm.
So I filled up the form and I cracked the examination, and then a new world opened for me.
And that's how the
And
journey
since then,
started.
that's how the journey started, and there has been
Yeah.
no turning back ever
Like
since.
being a teacher, being a professor, being an assistant professor, do you feel like the legal education in India focuses more on theory than the practical exposure the student should get? What's your thinking?
I agree to this. I
Mm-hmm.
agree to this that state education is mostly theory based
Yeah.
because I myself have studied and I'm still doing my PhD from a traditional university, University of
Yeah.
Calcutta. I can see the scenario over there that they rely more on the theoretical part rather than
Mm-hmm.
the practical part. Whereas I am, as an assistant professor, is teaching in a Techno India University,
Mm-hmm.
which is more open to approaching practical parts alongside
Okay.
the theory portions. For
All right.
instance, in
Mm-hmm.
classrooms, we allow the students to
Mm-hmm.
explore how actual workings are going on. How,
Yeah.
for instance, new criminal laws. Last year it has
Mm-hmm.
been introduced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of it, what the practical scenario is. So,
Mm-hmm.
what we are trying to do, we are bringing on experts, expert
Mm-hmm.
advocates who are working on it. It's a growing
Yeah.
portion. So, we
Mm-hmm.
are considering more on the practical scenario.
Yeah.
As I am also seen in a trend among the NLU students, National Law
Mm-hmm.
Universities,
Mm-hmm.
the universities open lab, St. Xavier's University, or Techno India University, they all are opening more on the practical part.
Mm-hmm.
So to conclude this question, I can say that it is not entirely based on theory, but yes, mostly it is based on theory.
Theory.
Practical approach is being taken, but it will take time. And that
Hmm.
is the reason why when most of the students after passing out go to court, they become
Hmm.
lost. I myself
Yes.
was lost when I went to court
No,
first.
even me myself too. Even I was lost when I started my practice. So
Yes, it happens
uh,
to all. It has happened to all of us.
yes. So according to you, what changes would you like to see? How law is taught in the universities or in the classes?
I think there should be a balance between the theoretical knowledge and the practical knowledge. When we are teaching something like family law, it is
Hmm.
taught in the first year in every law school. Okay,
Yeah.
so when we are teaching family law, we can take the students to the family courts to see
Yeah.
how the actual problems are addressed, how the parties are given a portion for a
Hmm.
counselor, or the judges
Yeah.
are trying to make them stick to their marriage, how they are being counseled, that
Hmm.
okay, give
Hmm.
a chance before going to the final decision. Or contract is also another subject which is taught in the first year of every law school, in the first semester
Hmm.
itself.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we can give them show them agreements, how the agreements are done. If not possible, or every time it is not possible for
Hmm.
everyone, we can set up demonstrations in class like this is
Hmm.
an agreement, this is my classmate, I am doing an agreement with him or her,
Hmm.
this is my
Hmm.
consideration. So
Hmm.
what will happen is that the student will get interest, first thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second thing is that there will be the concept will be very much clear,
Yeah.
because the problem not only with this generation is too much tech savvy, and they have a
Hmm.
tendency
Hmm.
more on the visuals than on the
Hmm.
books. So it will
Hmm.
be easier for them to grip, and they will also become more interested in the classroom. They will turn to the
Yes.
classroom to learn.
Yes, and the number of live examples they will get to see or get to learn in a classroom, the it will amount to the better knowledge of themselves, right? Because
Yes,
the
of course.
number of live examples they will see, the number of live examples they are discussing it with their friends, colleagues, or even with the teachers. The basic concept of contract drafting or law will gonna get cleared, right?
Yes, obviously.
What was the biggest challenge you faced early in your career?
The biggest challenge initially I started off as an advocate.
Hmm,
Thereafter, I switched to academia. The
hmm,
biggest challenge as an advocate was to understand how to work,
hmm,
how to work, and what
hmm,
to say, what to do. And fortunately, I learned from my senior.
hmm, hmm,
And coming to academia, and coming from a traditional university to
hmm,
a university which is more modern in approach, modern education, it was quite
hmm,
challenging for me to cope up over
hmm,
here initially.
hmm, hmm.
Because to be very honest, I felt my professors were much less approachable during my student life.
Okay.
So here the students are the students can approach us more
Hmm, hmm.
easily. We are more
Okay.
accessible to the students. This was a
Hmm,
kind of cultural shock for me, that how
hmm, hmm,
can this be possible? So this was
hmm.
very challenging. Next
All right.
one was when we are trying to set up something. We are trying
Hmm,
to integrate something in our course, doing something
hmm,
in a different way. For
hmm,
instance, I after my joining, I organized a outdoor legal aid camp. I organized
hmm,
an outdoor legal aid camp just
hmm.
quite far away from here.
Okay.
It was near Sundarbans, so it was quite far away from our university, and it took a
Hmm,
lot of time convincing the authority, convincing the students, go
hmm.
over there, learn what it is. So these
Okay.
were quite challenging parts which I initially faced, but
Hmm.
now it's all right,
Oh,
and they
okay.
are like, okay, ma'am, when will you go
Hmm, hmm.
out? So
So the transition was a bit challenging, but once it is done, I think the journey is beautiful now, and you are enjoying
yes, the
it.
journey is quite beautiful. Yeah, I'm wholly enjoying it.
So now, a teacher's advice or a professor's advice for a final year law student, what would it be?
Final year for final year students, what I always
Yeah.
say that invest in your skills. We
Okay.
can write a lot of things in our CV, but our skills speak for ourselves. Even if our CV is half a page,
Hmm.
whatever skills I have, it speaks for us. And
Okay.
also, the biggest thing we all should learn is that managing stress. We
Yeah.
all have a lot in our plates.
Mhm.
How we arrange everything in our plate, that is what makes us different from others.
This one is for a young woman from a small town who dreams of becoming a lawyer or a professor. What advice would you give it to her?
I would like to say that
Yeah.
never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. There will be lots and lots of hurdles. There
Hmm.
will be people who bring you down. By people, I mean men, women, both.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay? There will be a lot of people who are going to bring you down. There will be a
Hmm.
lot of people who will be saying, what's the point?
Hmm.
Don't listen.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want, how you want. If you have the capacity to dream of something, you have the capacity to build it.
Yeah.
So that is what I have felt. I am doing it still now,
Hmm.
and I'll continue to do so. So this is what advice I would like to give to everyone as a small town woman.